Hey guys, welcome back to episode 2 for Ivysaur or Fushigisour. There's some fun vocabulary you'll learn in this one, and there's a couple of bits you might recognize from Bulbasaur's episode, Fushigidane. And we're going to look at a piece of grammar too, which I think is a pretty useful one. So let's get started. As always, you can see there's just the kanji on the screen now. If you want to pause and try and read that before I add the furigana. Okay, here we go. Okay, so let's read it together now. 太陽の光を浴びるほど彼らに力が湧いて背中のつぼみが育っていく. Okay, how'd you go? So I'll bring up the English now. This entry again is from Pokemon Scarlet, and again I've translated it as best I could from my interpretation, and it's pretty close to the official English version. You can always compare them, and you can also make your own decision how you'd like to translate it or what you think feels best. But so here's the English here. The more it bathes in the sun, the more power wells up inside it, allowing the bulb on its back to grow. I guess a more accurate description is bud. So was your guess close with the English? This is a bit of a longer sentence with multiple parts, so we'll get into that now. So the first word we have is taiyo, obviously for sun. We had that, I believe, last time for Bulbasaur, or maybe no, we had hikari for Bulbasaur, so light. So taiyo no hikari, so sunlight. Abiru, to bathe in or to shower in. Now, hodo is a piece of grammar. Hodo, it essentially means the more that something happens, and then the next sentence or the next part of the sentence after that is the result of that. So in this situation, we have the more that it bathes in the sun. So abiru, hodo. So the more it bathes in the sun, the more power wells up inside it. So I think it's a pretty useful one. And we're definitely going to see it a lot in Pokedexes. As you've probably seen, when this Pokemon does this, something happens or it gets stronger. Okay, so look at the next one is Karada, which we had again from Bulbasaur. Then we had Chikara, which does look like the katakana ka, but it is a little different. But I mean, look, it's very similar. But obviously in this context, if you see, it's going to be Chikara. Now we have Waite. So that's from Waku, to well up or to flow up inside of. You might sometimes see that just as hiragana, but if there is a kanji for something that I think is at least somewhat relevant, I'm going to put it in there. And as you'll see later in this sentence. So we have senaka again for back. Tsubomi is this next kanji. It looks like a little bit of a complicated one. So it's tsubomi. It means bud, like flower bud. Now, I put this in here because even though it's not super common, you're more likely to see it just written as hiragana. I think it's good to just be slightly aware of them, especially if you play video games. Lots of video games use lots of kanji that would not come up in day-to-day life when you're talking to people or texting or reading stuff online. But a lot of games will delve into kanji. So you'll see some, for example, in Pokemon or in other places, especially if you play RPGs or like fantasy games with spells and lots of big text. So I thought I'd put it here just because it's good to keep it in mind. The thing is, you'll be surprised where you see them. You don't need to memorize them every time you see sort of an advanced kanji, but just being aware of it means that next time it pops up, you might think, hang on a second, I've seen that before. And then it might become, a little bit more relevant. I think you don't have to stress about memorizing everything. When you're learning a language, the language will tell you what's important with frequency. So if you never see this again, you forget it, totally fine. Turns out it wasn't frequent enough, not important. But for example, you might be really into gardening, or you might be into, flowers and plants, or be, into botany. This one will come back for you specifically. So the interesting thing with language is, you'll learn more about what you're interested in and what you read about. And so I left this one in because just as an example of exposure. And if you forget it, totally fine. And then we'll look at the last part. The last word is sodatteiku. So you see that a lot. We had that in the last one as well, is something teiku. And it means just to go. And, obviously iku is go, but sodatte iku is like continues to. Sodatte is, as I said, to be raised. And so it's continuing to be raised. So the power up inside it wells up, and then the bud on its back continues to grow, continues to be raised. So a little bit more of a complicated one, I think, than Bulbasaur's entry. But, hope you did well. Hope you learned a bit of fun vocabulary here. And I'm obviously still trying to do some fun art there. So I'll finish this one here. Feel free to subscribe for more episodes. And obviously, you know who's coming next, number 3. If not, it'll be a surprise. But I think it's pretty clear who's coming by now. Thank you guys for watching, and keep an eye out for the next episode.